Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika, coming up in the next 1 hour. Ukraine and Russia to hold separate talks with US officials in Saudi Arabia on Monday. Separate meetings to be held at the same time as diplomatic push to seek ceasefire gains momentum. Trump signs order aimed at shutting down the Department of Education. Also signs order to boost critical mineral production, says rare earth deal with Ukraine soon. Donald Trump demands courts stop blocking his agenda after a judge suggested government ignored order to block deportations. Judge gives Justice Department until Tuesday to explain its action. Britain's Heathrow shut after a major fire at electrical substation supplying power. Over 125 flights diverted. Significant disruptions expected in days ahead. And another red flag for global warming. Glaciers around the globe are melting faster than ever. UNESCO's recent report says last 3 years witnessed largest glacial mass loss on the record. Now, the big news that we are tracking at DD India News Hour at this current point of time coming from the UK. Heathrow Airport has been closed until midnight after experiencing a significant power outage due to a fire at a nearby electrical substation supplying the airport. The airport authority said that the airport will be closed until 23 hours, which is midnight, to maintain the safety of the passengers and the colleagues as well. Now, it further added, asked the passengers to expect significant disruption over coming days and urged them not to travel to the airport under any circumstances until the airport reopens. The authorities also said that whilst fire crews are responding to the incident, they do not have clarity on when power may be reliably restored. Meanwhile, at least 120 flights in the air bound for Heathrow are being diverted due to airport's closure. Heathrow handles more than 80 million passengers a year. And to get us the latest on this, I'm joined by DD India correspondent Anil Thomas on phone line. Good morning, Anil. Now, Heathrow, which is the busiest global airport, suffers unexpected shutdown. How much of a loss is it for not only the business commuters but global trade and supply as well? Anil.
Good morning, Deepika. Well, you're right. Heathrow is the UK's largest airport. Almost 1,300 landings and taking in a single day. You made a mention of 83 million people. It's 83.9 million people that have used the airport or that have used the terminal last year. Putting Heathrow Airport into perspective, it's almost every 45 seconds you'll see a takeoff or a landing that takes place at that particular airport, on any given day. And having said that, this particular disruption that's taken place, that's scheduled till midnight, it's surely going to leave stranded passengers all across the UK. The government there, the UK government has started already diverting planes to Gatwick, Stansted, along with Shannon in Ireland. They're looking at viable options that are available before them. But, thousands of passengers stranded there, due to delays, cancellations and confusion is clearly going to leave a lot to cover up. And, if you want to take a look at purely in terms of impact, there's going to be a supply chain disruption that's going to take place with immediate impact. Also, economic implications that follow, because, this particular sudden shutdown of, such a critical infrastructure, especially in Europe, is going to have cascading effects, not only on, just on trade, but also on tourism and finance. There are a lot of people who are traveling who would have scheduled their plans from that particular airport. That's going to not take place. Supply chain disruptions, yes, it's going to be huge because, it's a major global cargo hub that Heathrow is for Europe. And I think that's where the impact is going to be much larger. The passenger burnout surely could be seen, but, the cargo burnout that could be much heavier and that could surely and seriously impact global trade, even if there is a disruption for a minute or two. I think this is talking about more than 12 hours. it could be one of the biggest disruptions that we have seen. Remember, the biggest disruptions that we have seen happened in 2017 at Atlanta airport, where the airport was closed for close to 11 hours. So this particular disruption surely is going to, at least got the world attention, and it's going to really leave UK on the edge.
Also, Anil, when are the services likely to restore? What are we hearing from the authorities?
Well, at this point of time, as we speak, they have said that, till midnight, the services are going to be closed. There is no clear assurance still given that past midnight, the services are going to be resumed. They are still trying to contain the fire. People have been asked to remain indoors, and almost people are being evacuated from the nearby regions. There are almost 10 fire engines and 70 firefighters who are tackling that particular base at this point of time, according to the London Fire Brigade. And a 200-meter cordon has been created so that no people approach this particular place where this fire is the fire control agents are trying to control the fire. So all in all, it's a bit of a mess that the UK is in at this point of time, because this particular fire has almost left close to 17,000 people or 17,000 homes in UK near the airport without power at this point of time. And I think there will be some serious reworking that UK needs to do, because they need to get Heathrow up and running, because the immediate impact can be you can divert your planes to other nearby airports, but Heathrow getting affected is something seriously big trouble for UK, and I think the airport authorities are working overtime to get their house back in order.
All right, thank you so much, Anil, for joining us and bringing us the latest on this developing situation and on how the Heathrow airport has come under a shutdown. Moving on, now Russia and Ukraine will hold separate talks with US officials in Saudi Arabia on Monday. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, during a press conference in Norway, said on Thursday that Ukrainian and US officials would meet in Saudi on Monday to make progress on a proposed halt in Russian and Ukrainian strikes on energy facilities.
At the next meeting, which will be held on Monday in Saudi Arabia, our technical teams will be there. As I understand it, the structure is that there will be a meeting between Ukraine and America, and then, as the American partner said, shuttle diplomacy, followed by America and Russia, or it will be parallel meetings in one country on one topic.
Now, Zelensky's announcement came shortly after the Kremlin confirmed that Russian officials would also hold talks with the United States in Saudi Arabia on Monday. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said the delegations are due to discuss initiatives that Putin and Trump spoke about regarding the Black Sea.
You remember that we had quite a rich experience in implementing the Black Sea initiative. We fulfilled all the conditions then, but the conditions in relation to us were never fulfilled. Therefore, of course, all this, as they say, on the shore will have to be discussed in details, and also the aspects related to the Ukrainian settlement, which the parties consider necessary to discuss.
Now, Zelensky has further stated that all nuclear power plants in Ukraine belong to the people of Ukraine, following the comments by US President Donald Trump suggesting that the United States could own and operate the country's nuclear facilities.
All nuclear power plants belong to the people of Ukraine. They are state-owned nuclear power plants. We do not have private property, energy, nuclear power in Ukraine. We have thermal generation, there is green energy, there is private partnership, there is completely private energy. This is absolutely clear and correct. But all nuclear power belong to the state of Ukraine.
And now DDNA correspondent Akshay Dongre joins us. Good morning, Akshay. Now, Russia-Ukraine has been one of the longest crises that is making global supply chains suffer and also impacting the lives here. But this new development comes as a ray of hope. Take us through its significance.
Well, absolutely. In fact, when you talk about this conflict that has been going for over 3 years has hit the food supply chains around the world. And in fact, when you talk about Africa, it used to rely a lot on Ukraine as well as Russia as far as wheat is concerned, other food grains are concerned. And after the war started, firstly, the things that were hit were ports, transportation facilities, so that arms and ammunition along with soldiers cannot be mobilized. That's usually what happens during war, and that perhaps the reason why, due to also naval blockades, the supplies could not reach to the places where they were supposed to, leading to a food shortage as far as the supply chains are concerned. They were also impacted. The supplies were kept in Ukraine and in Russia and at the ports because it was not safe as far as these transportation cargo vessels are concerned. So that perhaps is the reason why the world is waiting, in fact, for this conflict to end, so that the supply routes that were closed due to the war and that have been closed due to the war for the last 3 years, they can be reopened again, leading to some sort of respite to the countries that are reliant on these food grains coming in, especially from Ukraine. Now, yes, if the conflict ends, there will be a significant supply that is halted at this point in time to these countries, leading to some respite to the people.
Indeed, Akshay. And also, while we know that nuclear power plants are also in focus, what other sectors could likely be discussed by the USA here during the meeting, Akshay?
Well, Deepika, first and foremost would be the rare earth minerals that is being eyed by the United States. And in fact, if you look at the kind of tech revolution that is happening, the AI, the microchips, the semiconductors, all of these require the rare earth minerals. And the key to remain a dominant power or a superpower in the world depends on how much access to rare earth minerals do you have. Now, China has had significant deposits of these rare earth minerals in its own territory, while US also has it, but it in order to maintain parity with the advancement that the Chinese are having, the US also needs an access to these rare earth minerals that are expected to be there in the Ukrainian territory. It's also there in the Russian territory, but given the history of US and Russia, it's not very certain how much US can rely on the country, and that perhaps is the reason why Donald Trump, the US president, has been eyeing the rare earth mineral as a way of payback to the funding that the US has done in this particular conflict. So one of the aspect. Then you can talk about trade and other aspects of this entire conflict will be discussed as far as the two are concerned.
All right. Thank you so much, Akshay, for joining us and bringing us the importance of this meeting. The European Union leaders have once again voiced their support to Ukraine, but did not immediately endorse the call by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to approve a package of at least €5 billion for artillery purchases. European Union leaders met in Brussels on Thursday and discussed the Commission's defence proposals, which included a call for European countries to pool their resources on joint military projects and buy more European arms. Now, the bloc's foreign policy chief called on the leaders to match words of support for Kyiv with deeds. While after the summit, European Council President Antonio Costa said he believed member states will increase pledges of support to Ukraine.
We decided in the conclusions to make the ramp up during the next 5 years in our own capabilities, but also to support Ukraine. All these instruments, the SAVE, more fiscal space, flexibilities on the use of cohesion funds, all of these give room to the member states to increase their support to Ukraine. Before this package, we have already a pledge of 15 billion euros from different member states.
Addressing the European Union summit through the video medium, Zelensky urged European Union allies to approve a package of at least €5 billion for artillery purchases for Ukraine and called on continued pressure on Russia.
We need funds for artillery shells and would really appreciate Europe's support with at least €5 billion as soon as possible. Investments in weapons production are needed both in Ukraine and in your countries. Europe needs technological independence, including in weapons manufacturing. Everything necessary to defend the continent should be produced here in Europe.
Leaders of the coalition backing Ukraine would meet again next week, hoping to finalize plans to secure a potential truce in the war with Russia. Now, French President Macron's announcement on Thursday came after latest discussions of military talk brass from Coalition of the Willing in London. Macron said the meeting next Thursday will be a chance to fine-tune work on ensuring any truce is durable. Time to take a short break, but still to come on DD India News Hour. Israeli government dismisses Shin Bet chief Ronen Bar amid strained relations with Netanyahu. Up next, we'll get you all the latest on how the South Korean opposition parties are all set to bring a motion to impeach acting president. And US judge blocks Doge access to social security records. Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. The Israeli government has dismissed Israel's domestic intelligence agency Shin Bet's chief Ronen Bar on Friday. Netanyahu last week cited an ongoing lack of trust as the reason for moving to sack Ronen Bar, who was appointed in October 2021 for a 5-year term. Now, Bar, meant to end his tenure only next year, was appointed by the previous Israeli government that briefly forced Netanyahu from power between June 2021 and December 2022. Now, his relations with Netanyahu were strained even before the unprecedented Hamas attack on the 7th of October 2023, notably over proposed judicial reforms that had split the country. Bar had already hinted that he would resign before the end of his term, taking responsibility for his agent's failure to prevent the attack. Meanwhile, the United Nations Security Council held an open meeting on Gaza as Israel resumed its bombing campaign and ground operations in the enclave. Israeli aircraft on Thursday dropped leaflets on residential neighborhoods, ordering people out of Beit Lahia and Beit Hanun towns in the north, the Shijaya district in Gaza City, and towns on the eastern outskirts of Khan Yunis in the south. Then late on Thursday, Israel's military said it had begun ground operations in the Shabura district of Gaza's southernmost city, Rafah, that abuts the Egyptian border. A day after sending tanks into central Gaza, the Israeli military said on Thursday it had also begun conducting ground operations in the north of the densely populated enclave along the coastal route in Beit Lahia. Hamas too fired a barrage of rockets towards Tel Aviv in central Israel. Hamas, which had not retaliated during the first 48 hours of the renewed Israeli attack, said its fighters fired rockets into Israel. US President Donald Trump issued a series of executive orders during the early days of his second term, and it focuses on reversing policies from the Biden administration and implementing his own agenda. In the latest move, Donald Trump has announced 2 major decisions impacting the future of education and the mineral industry in the United States. Let's now take a closer look at the international ramification of Donald Trump's mineral push and what is next for US education in this report.
US President Donald Trump's first few days in office were marked by a flurry of wide-ranging executive orders. Well, after a brief lull, the executive orders are back again. US President Donald Trump signed an order on Thursday aimed at eliminating the Department of Education.
But we're going to be returning education very simply back to the states where it belongs, and this is a very popular thing to do, but much more importantly, it's a common sense thing to do, and it's going to work. Absolutely, it's going to work. We're going to love and cherish our teachers along with our children, and they're going to work with the parents, and they're going to work with everybody else, and it's going to be an amazing thing to watch, and it's really going to be something special.
Education has long been a political lightning rod in the United States. Conservatives favor local control over education policy and school choice options that help private and religious schools, and left-leaning voters largely support robust funding for public schools and diversity programs. Now, Trump's decision could reshape how funding and regulations are managed at the local level. The department oversees some 100,000 public and 34,000 private schools in the United States, although more than 85% of public school funding comes from state and local governments. The Education Department was created in 1979 and cannot be shuttered without the approval of Congress. But Trump's order will likely have the power to starve it of funds. Democrats and educators have slammed the move.
When you eliminate the Department of Education, you can say you're transferring it to somebody else, but the reality is somebody else doesn't have the skills and the expertise to administer those funds, and there will be things falling through the cracks. We know that's going to happen.
Meanwhile, in an effort to secure U.S. interest in the global mineral market, President Trump has invoked emergency powers to ramp up domestic production of critical minerals. Under the Cold War-era Defense Production Act, the U.S. is pushing to mine and process materials such as lithium and nickel, which are crucial for electric vehicle batteries.
I also signed an executive order to dramatically increase production of critical minerals and rare earths. It's a big thing in this country, and as you know, we're also signing agreements in various locations to unlock rare earths and minerals and lots of other things all over the world, but in particular Ukraine. We're doing very well with regard to Ukraine and Russia, and one of the things we are doing is signing a deal very shortly with respect to rare earths with Ukraine, which they have tremendous value in rare earth.
With China dominating the global supply of these critical minerals, this move is seen as an attempt to reduce reliance on foreign countries and strengthen U.S. energy independence. Trump's executive order also seeks to fast-track mining permits and encourage exploration on federal lands. The move has received support from domestic manufacturers, but environmentalists warn of the potential risk of expanded mining. Aarti Rana's report for DD India.
On the other hand, there seems to be no pause in U.S. President Donald Trump's confrontation with the U.S. judiciary. After a federal judge said in a strongly worded order that government ignored an order to block deportations, Trump has now demanded intervention from the Supreme Court Chief Justice.
U.S. President Donald Trump demanded on Thursday that courts stop blocking his agenda as he was once again at odds with the judiciary. The U.S. president seems to be edging closer to a constitutional showdown after a judge suggested the administration ignored an order to block summary deportations. Trump has demanded that the Supreme Court intervene. He wrote on his social media platform warning that if Chief Justice of Supreme Court doesn't fix the situation, nation is in serious trouble. Chief Justice John Roberts a day earlier issued a rare rebuke by the country's top justice to remarks of the president after Trump called for the impeachment of the judge who ruled on the immigration case. James Boasberg, the chief judge of the U.S. District Court in Washington on Saturday, had issued an emergency order against the deportation of Venezuelans as they sought legal recourse. In a strongly worded order, on Thursday, Boasberg gave the Justice Department until Tuesday to explain why it went ahead with flights of Venezuelan migrants and explain why it did not violate his restraining order. 237 deportee Venezuelans were flown to El Salvador as Trump invoked 1798 Alien Enemies Act to remove alleged members of Tren de Aragua, a Venezuelan gang. A lawyer for one of the men said that his client was a professional soccer player in Venezuela, and U.S. authorities accused him of gang membership based on a tattoo that in fact was associated with his fandom for Real Madrid.
Moving on, a flight carrying around 311 Venezuelan nationals returned from Mexico landed in Caracas, bringing the total of migrants recently returned to 920 now. Venezuelan Interior Minister claimed the flight was a result of direct agreement with Mexico, despite the U.S. accusations of misinformation. Cabello also criticized the U.S. for deporting over 200 members of the Venezuelan Trendo Oroaca gang to El Salvador, calling it a kidnapping and arguing they should be tried in the U.S. if they committed crimes there. A U.S. judge ordered that an Indian researcher at a top American university should not be removed from the country following his arrest and threat of expulsion for alleged Hamas ties. Badr Khan Suri is a postdoctoral fellow at Georgetown University. Suri's lawyer demanded his release and denounced the arrest as a targeted retaliatory detention. Judge of the Eastern District of Virginia Court ordered Suri shall not be removed from the United States unless and until the court issues a contrary order. A U.S. judge on Thursday blocked tech billionaire Elon Musk's Doge from accessing Social Security records. Now, U.S. District Judge Ellen Lipton Hollander of Maryland said the Social Security Administration likely violated privacy laws by giving Musk's aide unbridled access to millions of Americans' private data and ordered a halt to any further record sharing. Judge Hollander said Musk's Department of Government Efficiency was intruding into the personal affairs of millions of Americans as part of its hunt for fraud and waste under President Donald Trump. Now, the case has shed light for the first time on the amount of personal information Doge staffers have been given access to, in which the databases that hold vast amounts of sensitive data on most of the Americans. Thursday's ruling is one of the most significant legal setbacks for Doge till date. It comes 2 days after a federal judge ruled Musk's effort to shut down the U.S. Agency for International Development were likely illegal because he is not a Senate-confirmed cabinet official. Meanwhile, a White House spokesperson criticized the decision in a statement and said Donald Trump will continue to seek all legal remedies available to ensure the will of the American people goes into effect. Now, Namibia's President-elect Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah is all set to be sworn in Windhoek on Friday, marking the beginning of the first female presidency in the country's history. The inauguration, which will make her the 5th person to direct the country's destiny, will take place on the day country's 35th anniversary of independence. Now, Netumbo won the general elections in November with 57% of the total vote cast by 2 million voters in what was expected to be one of the most difficult elections for the SWAPO party. Moving on, South Korean opposition parties will bring a motion on Friday to impeach acting President Choi Sang-mok. According to a notice sent to the media by the majority Democratic Party, the impeachment would be registered at 2 p.m. local time, which is 500 GMT. The move is likely to further escalate recent political strife across the country. Choi, who is the finance minister, is leading the country in an acting capacity after President Yoon Suk-yeol was impeached over a short-lived martial law that he declared in the month of December. Earlier, Prime Minister Han Duck-soo was impeached by the parliament as the acting president on the 27th of December, 13 days after taking the office for not approving justices to the Constitutional Court, leaving Choi to serve as the country's acting president. The Constitutional Court is currently reviewing President Yoon's impeachment and is expected to deliver its ruling on whether to permanently remove him from the office or reinstate him. At least 7 international flights from Indonesia's resort island Bali have been cancelled after a volcano in the archipelago nation's east erupted, shooting dark ash 8 kilometers into the sky. Mount Levutobi, Laki, pumped for over 11 minutes on the tourist island of Flores. The authorities have raised the highest volcano alert. Several other flights, both domestic and international, including to Thailand, Singapore and Australia, have been delayed due to the volcanic eruption. We are heading for a short break, but still to come on the other side. The lower house of the Indian Parliament all set to pass the Union Budget 2025-26 under the guillotine procedure. Ruling party issues whip to its members to be present in the House. India and European Union have moved closer to a landmark trade agreement, strengthening economic ties and collaboration. And World Audiovisual Entertainment Summit or WAVES organizes Young Filmmakers Challenge to provide a creative platform for emerging talent.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Now let's get you the latest from Parliament. Both the houses of Indian Parliament continue to discuss the budgetary provisions related to various ministries. In the Lok Sabha or the lower house, apart from the question hour and zero hour, discussions related to the Ministry of Water, Power, Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare are listed for today. Besides, the pending demands for grants in relation to the Union budget will be presented for voting in the House. Along with this, Appropriation Bill 3 is also listed. In the Rajya Sabha, or the upper house of the Indian Parliament, apart from the question and zero hours, further discussions on the working of the Ministry of Home Affairs will be taken up. Besides this, the Banking Laws Amendment Bill 2024 is also listed for consideration and passing. Meanwhile, the BJP has issued a 3-line whip for all its Lok Sabha MPs, asking them to be present in the Lok Sabha on Friday for passing the budget. Further, the Lok Sabha has announced that the Parliament will apply the guillotine. In parliamentary terms, the guillotine refers to a procedure ordered by the Speaker of the lower house to pass a bill without a discussion. Now, bills that are considered necessary for implementation but could not be delayed due to opposition logjam are passed through this route. Now, India and the European Union are moving closer to a landmark trade agreement. With negotiations gaining momentum, both the sides are looking forward to strengthen economic ties and expand market opportunities. The recent visit of the European Commission to New Delhi highlighted key areas of collaboration, from trade and investment to digital innovation and sustainability. Let's take a closer look.
In a landmark move to strengthen economic ties, the European Commission, led by President Ursula von der Leyen, recently visited New Delhi. This unprecedented delegation underscores the deepening relationship between India and the European Union. Central to their discussions is the ambitious India-EU Free Trade Agreement, with both sides aiming to finalize negotiations by the end of this year.
Technology, investment, innovation, green growth, security, skilling और मोबिलिटी पर सहयोग का एक ब्लूप्रिंट तैयार किया गया है। हमने अपनी टीम्स को एक पारस्परिक लाभकारी बायलैटरल फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट को, एफटीए को, इस वर्ष के अंत तक संपन्न करने का निर्देश दिया है।
Initiated in 2007 and resumed in 2022, this agreement seeks to enhance market access, remove trade barriers and boost bilateral trade. For India, the FTA promises enhanced access for textiles, pharmaceuticals and IT services to European markets. Conversely, the EU anticipates greater entry for its automobiles, machinery and luxury goods into India's consumer base.
EU-India trade agreement is very important for us. And I can tell you, while semiconductor is important for India, even automotive is important. EVs are important. And therefore, it just makes sense for Europe and India to partner together for R&D, for manufacturing, for supply chain diversification, and most importantly, even for market.
This collaboration is set against the backdrop of shifting global geopolitics, where both India and the EU seek to enhance their strategic autonomy and economic resilience.
For Europe, India is a pillar of certainty in an increasingly uncertain world. Together with Prime Minister Modi, we want to upgrade the strategic partnership with the largest country and democracy in the world.
As negotiations progress, the world watches closely, anticipating a landmark agreement that could redefine economic landscapes across continents. Mark Limburg reporting from The Hague, the Netherlands, for DD India.
Now, Commonwealth Secretary-General-elect and former Foreign Affairs Minister of Ghana, Shirley Ayoka Pochwe, arrived in New Delhi on Thursday on a two-day visit. In the evening, she met India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, who shared India's approach to the Commonwealth, voicing the expectation that it would become more purposeful, contemporary, efficient, transparent and reflective of its members' view. Now, Shirley Pochwe will assume office as the 7th Secretary General of the Commonwealth on the 1st of April this year. Now, with an objective to providing a fun and supportive platform for young filmmakers to express their creativity and originality through films, Young Filmmakers Challenge has been organized at the World Audiovisual Entertainment Summit, or WAVES.
Young Filmmakers Challenge, organized at WAVES, aims to empower children and teens to explore their imagination through short films. Young creators in two categories, aged between 12 to 15 years and 16 to 19 years, to dive into the world of filmmaking and unleash their creativity. It aims to foster innovation, storytelling skills, and digital literacy among young participants through a concise 60-second film format.
WAVES World Audio-Visual Entertainment Summit is India's first global summit which encompasses the entire media and entertainment industry, which includes film, animation, gaming, fashion, music, design. It includes esports. It will include all other verticals which are part of the media and entertainment industry, and that's really what we will be doing. We will be showcasing our best to the world.
While speaking about the summit, Chaitanya Chinchlikar, Vice President, Whistling Woods International, emphasized three important pillars of media and entertainment industry.
WAVES has multiple parts. There's the conference where you've got the best of the best from the world coming in and talking on the same stage and showcasing their quality. Then you have the bazaar, the market, which will give great opportunity to Indian original IP creators to pitch, as well as people who have ideas for films, for animation, for games. That's the second part. Third is the showcase, where we will be showcasing some of our best work that's done in various areas of the industry.
About Create in India challenges, he said, the WAVES will witness the best of the best, and the summit will enable intermingling of some of the best creative minds in the country.
So for any country to get genuinely global, world class at the top level, you need three things. You need government will, you need government ability, and that has been amply showcased. There is a film policy. We have a new cinematograph bill. We have a new animation, visual effects, gaming, comics and XR policy, India's first national policy. We have the setting up of the IICT, the Indian Institute of Creative Technologies, which will focus on that.
The challenge will promote storytelling, build confidence in children and teens by giving them the opportunity to showcase their talent on a global stage and celebrate diversity that young filmmakers bring to the screen.
With camera person Gaurav Kagra, this is Shama Mishra for DD India, Mumbai.
Every year on the 21st of March, the world comes together to celebrate World Down Syndrome Day. This special day is dedicated to raising awareness, promoting inclusion and advocating for the rights of individuals with Down syndrome. The day symbolizes the uniqueness of the triplication of the 21st chromosome, which is the genetic cause of Down syndrome. Preeti Kaur tells us more in this report. Take a look.
Down syndrome is a genetic condition caused by the presence of an extra copy of chromosome 21, leading to developmental and intellectual delays. It is also known as trisomy 21 because individuals with Down syndrome have 3 copies of chromosome 21 instead of the usual 2. Down syndrome was named after John Langdon Key, an English doctor who was the first person to publish an accurate description of the condition in the 1860s. Features of Down syndrome can include intellectual disability, that is typically mild to moderate, physical traits that may include a flat facial profile, upward slanting eyes, small ears, and a small neck. People with Down syndrome may have an increased risk of certain health issues like heart defects, respiratory problems, and hearing loss. March 21st marks World Down Syndrome Day. The objective of this day is to spread awareness about Down syndrome and to reduce the social stigma faced by patients. Approximately 1 in 800 children are born with Down syndrome annually in India. Screening tests to assess the likelihood of Down syndrome can be performed in early pregnancy. After birth, the syndrome may be diagnosed by experts through physical examination. In India, addressing Down syndrome involves prenatal screening, early intervention programs, and ongoing support, including specialized therapies and education, with organizations like the Down Syndrome Federation of India playing a key role. People with Down syndrome can lead fulfilling lives, and many individuals with this condition attend school, work, and participate in social and community activities. Early interventions like speech, occupational, and physical therapies can help improve development and provide quality of life. Preeti Kaur's report, TD India.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news around the country in brief. Slovakia's honorary consulate was inaugurated in Kolkata on Thursday, marking a significant step in strengthening bilateral relationship between Slovakia and India. The inauguration ceremony was attended by high-profile Slovak officials, including Slovakia's Minister of Foreign Affairs and European Affairs, Juraj Plana. According to him, India is considered as an important partner for economic cooperation, and Slovakia is looking to collaborate in various sectors such as defense, automobile, IT, cybersecurity, and biofuel. To combat rising temperatures, the Odisha government has adjusted school timings for classes from 1st to 12th to 6:30 a.m. and up till 10:30 a.m., prioritizing students' safety and comfort. Additionally, provisions for drinking water and ORS will be made available. Separately, in response to heatwave alerts, the Ministry of Ayush has launched a nationwide awareness campaign through its institutions. Odisha's famous Banapur's Panchu Dola festival concluded on Thursday. People from across the state immersed in festive spirit, celebrating the vibrant and deeply cherished festival. Panchu Dola is known for its processions of deities from 5 major Shiva temples, which take place 5 to 10 days after the main Holi festival. We're heading for a short break. We'll be right back.
इंडिया में जितने इंडियंस हैं, उतने ही इंडियाज भी. So for the record, this is my India.
This is my Undekha. Unsuna.
Unbelievable India.
This is my favorite designer wear wala India.
My Sakhat Energy Hero India.
এই হলো আমার দুর্দান্ত রোড ট্রিপের ইন্ডিয়া.
For India, join the Waves Explorer Challenge.
Show us what makes you say, for the record. This is my India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News App, and now it's time to get you all the latest from the world of sports. Now, Kirsty Coventry has been elected as the president of the International Olympic Committee on Thursday, securing victory in a high-stakes vote at the 144th IOC session in Costanevrino, Greece. The Zimbabwean won in the first round of voting to clinch the race to succeed Thomas Bach, winning an immediate overall majority in the secret ballot. Kirsty Coventry beat Sebastian Coe, Juan Antonio and others in the election that had been expected to be a far closer run affair. As the new IOC president, Coventry will now be tasked with steering the Olympic movement into a new era, overseeing future games. She will also address key challenges such as rising costs, geopolitical tensions and the evolving landscape of global sports governance. Japan became the first team to qualify for the 2026 World Cup on Thursday as they secured 2-0 victory over Bahrain at Saitama Stadium in Japan. Daiichi and Takefusa scored in the second half to give Japan a 2-0 home victory over Bahrain and take their place alongside hosts the United States, Canada and Mexico at next year's final. Australia rode an early storm before rallying for a comfortable 5-1 victory over Indonesia in a World Cup qualifier on Thursday to solidify second place in Asian Group C behind runaway leaders Japan. On the other hand, South Korea suffered a minor setback in Group P as Hong Kong's Myongpo's side were held to a 1-1 draw by Oman in Goyang. Moving on now, let's get you all the latest from the ongoing Khelo India Para Games, which were declared open by Union Sports Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia on Thursday. Over 1,300 athletes are all set to take part in the second edition of the Games. DD India's Abhishek Mahajan gets you a detailed report. Take a look.
Khelo India Para Games 2025 officially began with a grand opening ceremony on Thursday. Union Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports Dr. Mansukh Mandavia declared the Games open at the Indira Gandhi International Stadium in the national capital, Delhi. Accompanied by Paralympic medalists in para sports Simran Sharma, Praveen Kumar, Nitesh Kumar, Preeti Pal and others, the Sports Minister participated in the torch relay.
तो हमारे मुख्य अतिथि और सम्मानित अतिथियों ने टॉर्च को कॉलड्रॉन पे रख दिया है, जो खेलो इंडिया पैरा गेम्स 2025 की आधिकारिक शुरुआत का प्रतीक भी है।
मुझे विश्वास है कि खेलो इंडिया पैरा गेम्स के द्वारा देश के पैरा एथलीट्स को खेलने की अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगी, उसकी टैलेंट, उसकी क्षमता आने वाले दिनों में देश और दुनिया में भारत के पैरा एथलीट्स अपना स्वयं का और देश का नाम रोशन करेंगे.
Part of Government of India's Khelo India initiative, this is the second edition of the Games, which kick-started with a glittering opening ceremony, witnessing an electrifying performance by Meet Brothers. The ceremony also displayed India's indigenous sport Mallakhambh. Not only this, the opening ceremony also ensured inclusion by showcasing an act curated by Divyangjans. The Games will be played across three venues: Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, IG Stadium and Dr. Karni Singh Shooting Range till March 27. It will be held in 6 disciplines: para-athletics, para-archery, para-powerlifting, para-badminton, para-table tennis and para-shooting. Over 1,300 athletes, 350 support staff and 150 volunteers are part of this edition.
Following the inaugural edition in December 2023, Khelo India Para Games has emerged as a key national event for the para-athletes and has played a significant role in discovering and nurturing talent in India. With cameraman Monty Kumar Singh, this is Abhishek Mahajan in Delhi for DD India.
And now DD India's Narayan Singh joins us with more on Khelo India Para Games. Narayan, today the world is observing Down Syndrome Day. And also we are witnessing the second edition of Khelo India Para Games for specially abled athletes. How significant is it when we talk about India's ambitious sports plan and to convert this into a country with a great sporting landscape, Narayan?
You're talking about this event. It's the second edition of the Khelo India Para Games, and first edition took place in 2023, which was a success. And talking about the Khelo India, actually it was started to make the India's grassroots level sports very strong. But we can say that with the inclusion of the Para Games in the Khelo India series, definitely it's a big boost to the inclusion, especially in the sports. And we can say that the ambition, the mission of the Prime Minister Modi to make a inclusive environment in the country, especially in the sports, it is coming true with the inclusion of the Para Games in the Khelo India series. And here it's not about just winning the medal, it's about giving an equal opportunity to all. Nobody feels left out. And apart from that, the way things happened in the past, we saw that there is a steady rise in the India's para sports. If we talk about the Paralympics in 2012, in the London Paralympics, India won a single medal. And in the next edition in Rio, we saw India won 4 medals. And after that in Tokyo, India won 19 medals. And in the previous edition in the Paris Paralympics, India won 29 medals. So it shows that there is a steady progress in the India's para sports. And kudos to the schemes of the government, the way they bought the similar kind of training, similar kind of facilities, similar kind of reward, similar kind of award for our para athletes too. That's why they got motivated. And we also know that whenever our athletes, whether they are able-bodied athletes, para athletes, they are going to participate in any mega sports event, PM Modi interacts with them, PM Modi talks to them, shares their ideas, shares their what have they done, how they have practiced. So that's why the para sports is also getting, we can say that got attracted by the mainstream event. Today we are seeing that all the para events are getting the live coverages. So when such things happen, definitely the rise is, we can say, the evident, and no one can stop that rise. And definitely we see that there is an equal footing in the National Sports Award too. Praveen won the Khel Ratna and 34 athletes won Arjuna Award. Among them 18 were the para athletes. So this shows that there is a commitment from the government to give an equal treatment to the para sports, para athletes, and that's why we are seeing a stupendous rise in the India's para sports.
All right, thank you so much, Narayan, for joining us and bringing us the latest from the venue itself. You're watching Daily India News Hour. Now it's time to get you the latest from weather. The United Nations reported that all 19 global glacier regions lost mass in 2024 for the 3rd year in a row, stressing that saving the glaciers is now crucial for the planet's survival. The UN's World Meteorological Organization reported that last 5 years have seen the fastest glacier retreat on record, highlighting the urgent need to preserve glaciers for environmental, economic and societal survival. World Meteorological Organization's chief, Celeste Saulo, said over 275,000 glaciers covering 700,000 square kilometers are rapidly shrinking due to climate change. And all 19 glacier regions experienced net mass loss for the 3rd consecutive year in 2024. The agency further said that world's glaciers lost 450 billion tons of mass in the year 2024. Meanwhile, a tiny wingless insect known as the Patagonian ice dragon is fighting for survival as global warming threatens its glacier habitat. The insect, that measures just 15 millimeters in length, is one of the few creatures adapted to life in the harsh, freezing conditions of glaciers. The Patagonian dragon was first discovered in the 1950s and was believed to be extinct until its rediscovery in the year 2001. The insect plays a crucial role in maintaining the health of the glaciers, acting as a natural filter by feeding on organic matter, dust and bacteria. As the glaciers melt due to climate change, the Patagonian dragon's habitat is disappearing. And the melting of glaciers, which is a direct consequence of global warming, is accelerating with dramatic consequences for lives and livelihoods. If you talk about it, melting glaciers can trigger floods, landslides and avalanches, posing a significant threat to towns and villages as well. And such natural disasters can also cause disruptions to global supply chains. Secondly, glaciers also provide freshwater supplies, but their disappearance will affect millions of people as it put water resources at risk. Thirdly, most river basins will reach their peak water within the century, after which water levels will decline. And apart from that, rising snow lines alter biodiversity, affecting vegetation and potentially leading to significant changes in mountainous ecosystem. Now, glaciers also retreat forces some communities to relocate and affecting hydropower generation along with food security. Not only this, glaciers are the second largest contributors to rising sea levels, but they are expected to become the main driver in the coming decades as well. So, global sea level has gone up by 10 centimeters since 1993, according to NASA satellite observations. And now it's time to say goodbye, but before we go, we take you to the Berlin Zoo, where our twin panda cubs, Lenny and Lottie, explored their outdoor enclosure for the first time on Thursday, climbing trees, rocks and platforms and snacking on tasty bamboo. Here are the visuals for you. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from DD India and across the world on the mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.